Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another 80s horror film review, and this time it is Terror Train. Now, Terror Train, I would say it's one of my more favorite 80s slasher films because of a number of reasons. I thought the story was interesting with the setting on a train. I like the idea that the killer changes different outfits like these. And so when he kills a victim, he'll like take his outfit. Thought that was an interesting idea. I thought Jamie Lee Curtis and Ben Johnson both did a good job. You have a fun little early appearance by David Copperfield. And you get to see him do a little bit of his magic. While it's not an all-out gory film, it still kept me interested because I like the cast. You get to see Hart Bochner. That's the guy who played Ellis in Die Hard. Hans, Bubby, I'm your white knight. That's him in the film as the lead, like, asshole of the group of teens. I thought this movie went at a pretty good pace and was fairly well directed by Roger Spottiswoode. This is the same guy that did films like the James Bond flick Tomorrow Never Dies, which I love. Tomorrow Never Dies. I reviewed that when I did my James Bond marathon years ago. So other than I wish the gore was a bit more juiciness to them, I wish it was a bit more violent in its death scenes. That's really the only nitpick I have. Like I said, I like Jamie Lee Curtis. I thought she did a great job once again. I could definitely say I prefer this over Prom Night. If I did a top 10 80 slasher films, this would probably be on there. That's how much I really enjoyed Terror Train. I mean, the beginning I enjoyed, because you have this prank, and Jamie Lee's in on it, but she doesn't know exactly all the details what's going on. She doesn't know the whole thing. Hart Bochner and these other assholes, they get this shy pledge into a room and thinking he's going to get in bed with Jamie Lee Curtis, but it's a woman's corpse. And Jamie, you can tell she doesn't know about that because she's horrified while the others are laughing. She's the only one not laughing, and she's being horrified about this. And that's what leads to that kid going to a psychiatric hospital. And then that's years later. I thought for a film that dealt with a prank gone wrong, which is a common thing in slasher films, this was done fairly well. I think it's one of the better examples of it. It's not like To All Good Night where literally 1 minute and boom, we're at the opening credits and you're like, what the hell just happened? They were recording some woman, then she fell off a balcony, then a dummy fell to the ground, then we're in the opening. What happened? Like this, there's actually a bit of a build-up, and I like that they show that Jamie was horrified. She didn't know this whole thing, and so it made us not dislike the character. And like I said, the setup is pretty interesting, where it's this costume party on a train, and it's New Year's Eve, and college kids, yeah, and they plan this costume party on this train. I thought Ben Johnson did a good job as the train conductor. He was likable. He was a guy who tries to talk with the kids. Like, he has this RV business that's not doing well. Or because there's a magician, David Copperfield, he tries to do tricks to, like, pick a card, any card. And he even knows that he's bad at it. It's like, what was your card? I forget the thing. It was like, let's say 4 of clubs. 4 clubs. Well, not only do I have that, but I change it to a 5 of hearts. Like, I mean, he's a likable character and friendly. Not a dickhead at all. Not a he knows these kids are having fun, and he's not a pain in the ass, and he actually does help out at the end, which is nice too. So Ben Johnson, I thought he did a Very solid job. Very likable character. Hart Bochner. It was cool to see the guy who played Ellison Dyard in an early role and still playing a dickhead. David Copperfield. I mean, you're not going for him for acting. He's there to show some magic tricks, as well as to be a red herring of a suspect. And it was cool to see David Copperfield tricks. I wonder if people nowadays know who David Copperfield is. Because now there's I can't believe I forgot that fucking guy's name. I haven't paid attention to magic in a long time, but it was the guy that fucking Jim Carrey played kinda him in that film with Steve Carell. I can't remember what the fuck his name was, but I would be interested to see if anyone even remembers David Copperfield. It was interesting that the killer, anytime he kills, like early on, this guy has a sword in him and people think it's a joke. And the killer takes his costume, puts him on the railroad track. And I thought this was well done, nicely directed, where you don't see it, but you get the idea that his body's on the track and the force of the train crushes the guy's hat, is almost at his head. Granted, I would have been like, keep going, but the crushing the hat gets the idea of how his body turned out. And he kills one guy by smashing him in the mirror and takes his costume, which is like a lizard slash like a snake, I guess snake costume. This is a little like Harpo Marx Brothers costume. And yeah, I thought the kill was kind of smart. Because he would like get in and out of costumes, so you don't know where he's at. At one point, Ben Johnson finds the body. Then when he comes back, the person took the victim, got into his costume, made it seem like he was drunk, cleaned up the blood, and he's like, oh, man, this is a practical joke. Dude, pretty smart of the killer to do. And Jamie's pretty smart too. I mean, when things are going down, she puts a fake body in her bed where the killer stabs, and she tricks his ass. And I like the chase scene. I like the, she's a fighter. She bites his hand, locks herself in a cage. Looks like really close. She gets impaled with this pole. She gets like a, what's that called? You stick like Post-it notes in there, stabs him in the cheek. I mean, see, that's the thing with Prom Night. One of the problems I have with that film is, well, Jamie Lee Curtis, because of who you find out who the killer is. Of course, there's a reason why Jamie Lee Curtis is never in trouble, in danger, in jeopardy, or ever fights the killer. If you've seen Prom Night, you know why. But here, she is in trouble. There is danger. And she does have a physical get down with this guy. To the point where she's got blood all over herself, and there's a point where the killer has her and she apologizes. And I think like she kisses him to kind of fuck with his head, and it does. Then Ben Johnson gets there, hits the motherfucker with a shovel, gets his ass outside. And then it's like, was it Roger Corman who said, when the monster's dead, the movie's over. As soon as the body hits the ground, train goes, boom, it ends. Like, it wastes no time. So like I said, the only drawback I have is I wish there was some gore in the film. I mean, some of the kills are fine, like when he smashes the guy's head while he's in costume in the bathroom mirror. Or when he's in the snake costume and he's fucked with the girl and leaves like a head there. A hand. It was a hand there. And the girl freaks out. He covers her mouth. One point, Hart Bochner is killed. And like a decapitated head is found. I think Ben Johnson was looking in the room. So like there's a little bit of blood. It's just, again, I wish the gore was more Friday the 13th type of gore. But that's my only drawback. Like I said, the killer in different costumes is a very clever idea. It breaks up the monotony of, oh, this killer just looks the same. Plus, he's able to fool and trick people and be a bit smarter than the usual killer. Like I said, having a slasher film on a train made it interesting and a bit different type of location. Because not a typical... There's not many slasher films on a train. And it's like, well, you can't really leave. And then when people know what's going on, they get out, but it's so cold. If they stay out there, they'll die of hypothermia, so they have to get back on the train. Remember, this is 1980, so this is before cell phones and all that stuff. That's why they had a film they said it was a remake, but it's not a remake. It was called Train. I don't know why someone told me it was a remake. It's not a remake. It's more like Hostel, but on a train. And it was a piece of shit. Maybe at first it was going to be a remake of Terror Train, but things got changed and then they just did their own. I'm like, fine, do your own thing. It sucks ass, but fine, don't be a remake of Terror Train. This is one of those Blu-rays I remember being disappointed in for the features. I mean, you have interview with the production executive, producer, production designer, and composer. Trailer, TV spot, still gallery. I mean, I guess that's all the people that you could get. Just Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't like any of these movies unless it's Halloween. Roger Spottiswoode, I heard a story that he was going to do a commentary, then he last minute said no. I guess he was so embarrassed of the movie. I'm like, this movie's not that bad. Ben Johnson's no longer with us. You don't get David Copperfield to talk about it. But I mean, you know, Hart Bochner or, I don't know, some other people, but what can you do? But I do like the cover. I think that's a cool cover. And of course, this is the original cover. The boys and girls of Sigma Phi. Some will live, some will die. There's the cover for that. But I don't know what else to say. Again, Terror Train, really enjoyed this film. Like I said, it's one of my favorite 80s slasher films. Job well done, in my opinion. But thanks for watching. Take care. Stay tuned for more 80s horror film reviews later.